No agent would give me a job because I was immediately after my debut in Italy, was not loved that much. I was something new to listen to, and they disliked anything that took them away from tradition. And every 4 or 5 months that I would have a role, whether it was Forza del Destino or Aida. Many people that used to say, well, her high notes are beautiful, but her middle notes are not. And the other one said, oh, the middle notes are beautiful, but the top are no good. In other words, they wouldn't agree. What impressed me was they used to say that, well, she does know how to move on stage.
The turning point in her career came in 1949 at the Teatro La Fenice, when Serafine engaged Maria to sing Brunhilde in the Valkyria.
I was doing Valkyria, which was my second year at the Fenice Venice. And I remember there was a great, shall we say, an influenza fever or epidemic. And they were without soprano for Puritani of Bellini. And poor old Serafine was exhausted, desperate. He couldn't find this singer and that singer. And he says to me, well, look, Maria, you're going to do this role in a week. I said, I'm going to do what in a week? He says, you're going to sing Puritani in a week. I undertake that you study it. I said, I can't. I have 3 more Valkyrias. Can't do it. It's ridiculous that I sing Puritani. He says, I guarantee you that you can. So I thought to myself, well, if a man like Serafine, who is no child, knows his job, can guarantee me a thing like that, I will be no fool to say no. And I said, well, Maestro, my best I can do. More than my best, I cannot promise.
What she did in Venice was really incredible. You need to be familiar with opera to realize the enormity of her achievement at night. It was if someone asked Birgit Nilsson, who is famous for her great Wagnerian voice, to substitute overnight for Beverly Sills, who is one of the top coloratura sopranos of our time. Maria became overnight the talk of the Italian musical world. It was short after that episode in Venice that Maria Callas came into my life. I was at the time designing a show in Rome, As You Like It, and every morning I went to a wardrobe where my costumes were made. And one morning I went there, and there was no way to get a seamstress to think about my work because they were fully occupied around masses of chiffons of all colors. And they were talking about this phenomenal new singer they had heard the night before at the dress rehearsal at the Opera House. I took a sudden hatred for this woman because she was depriving me of one day's work. But nevertheless, that night I went to hear Maria Callas singing Kundry in Parsifal. And I, like thousands of other people, were immediately taken by the extraordinary quality of this woman's personality and the sound of that voice. I remember my ears were absolutely buzzing. The power of this woman and the presence. There was something unique was happening. The years following saw triumphs in Mexico, Rome, Florence, Naples, Palermo, and Rio de Janeiro. Only La Scala was left to conquer. But this would not be easy. She had trouble with the general manager, Antonio Gringhelli. He refused to have her as a member of the company, as Giancarlo Menotti remembers.
And I asked her whether she would be interested in doing the consul at La Scala. She had heard of the opera because it had already been given on Broadway, and she knew about the great success of Patricia Newway. So I called Gringhelli and I said, I found my singer. Her name is Maria Callas. Gringhelli said, Maria Callas, oh my God, no, never, never, never. I said, well, listen, you promised me I could have Maria Callas, and the Sabbath was present at our meeting. You cannot go back on your word. So Gringhelli said, well, I promised you that she could, any singer you chose, you would choose that it would come to, would be acceptable to me. But I will not have Maria Callas in this theater unless she only comes as a guest artist. She actually had already sung once at La Scala, I believe. I think she sang a performance of Aida as a guest artist. And evidently, Gringhelli hated her at first sight. So I went back to Callas. We had another meeting, and I said, well, Gringhelli would be very happy, of course I had to lie, to have you on La Scala, but only as a guest artist. So Maria looked very surprised and quite indignant and said, "I'm sorry, Mr. Menotti, but unless I go back to La Scala as a regular artist, I will not put my foot in that theater again." So I begged her, but I couldn't get anywhere. So I finally had to take another singer. I took Petrella. But curious enough, before we left each other that day, she stopped me as I was going out of the door and she said, "Mr. Menotti, I want you to remember one thing, however, that I will sing at La Scala and that Ghiringhelli will pay for this for the rest of his life." And she certainly made him pay for it.
But soon, as Maria's fame grew, even Ghiringhelli had to give in. She made her official Scala debut on opening night in 1951 in Verdi's I Vespri Siciliani. The Callas era at La Scala had begun. It was during her early years at La Scala that Maria lost 80 pounds to become a slim and elegant woman. The new Callas emerged in 1954 in a production of Spontini's La Vestale. This was the first of 5 memorable productions in which she collaborated with Luchino Visconti. Visconti had made an important name in post-war Italy as a director of films and theater. He came to opera in 1954 because there was a Callas to direct. As Serafine molded the musician in Maria, so Visconti shaped the actress. Luchino could do anything with Maria dramatically. She was like a schoolgirl around him, one with a terrible crush.
Et moi, je la voyais surtout, et parfois je lui disais aussi des choses à faire.
Je disais, tais-toi.
Fais ça, va un peu plus à gauche, avance un peu. Je lui disais des choses là.
Vous voyez
Bon,
qu'on s'amuse.
une fameuse soirée où on tâchait de déranger le joyir de Maria. Un moment avant le joyir, le bruit arrive comment est-ce qu'on dit? Poulailler.
Qu'est-ce que c'était le bruit?
C'était des clans anti-Maria, des clans...
c'était...
On tâchait de la déranger avant le moment difficile. Fini le premier acte, d'habitude on lançait toujours des fleurs, et ce soir aussi on lance des fleurs. Mais moi j'entendais ces fleurs qui tombaient avec un bruit un peu trop fort. Et j'ai dit au souffleur, j'ai dit, mais c'est drôle, c'est des fleurs en plastique, c'est des fleurs en quoi? En marbre. Je regarde bien, bon, c'était des légumes.
Oui.
C'était des radis, on m'a dit. Des radis et tout.
C'était
Des céleri, des radis, tout. Alors moi j'ai dit au souffleur, vite, prenons tous les légumes qu'on peut et laissons les fleurs. Mais elle qui ne voit pas, mais qui a une oreille comme l'orecchio di Dioniso, a entendu que le bruit n'était pas d'une fleur. Et elle fait comme ça, elle prend naturellement des radis, immédiatement. Alors j'ai dit, oh, là c'est fini. Elle le montre au public et tombe dans un plongeon miraculeux et le théâtre, naturellement. C'était le triomphe. Il y avait chaque soir, c'était un triomphe redoublé ce soir-là.